Hello, everybody. Welcome to I Tell You What. We're still rolling, no cancellations yet, and you know what? That's great. I'm gonna still keep talking my shit and allowing everybody else to do the same. Today we have a special guest, Shayna. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Shayna DeFulvio. I have been in and out of the sex work community in Jacksonville for about 5 years. I own and run Labella Studios and Social Club, which originally was just based on helping girls do content together and things like that. It's branched out into all different types of art because, to an extent, like 90% of sex work does have some sort of art tied into it.
For sure.
Um, it started, as that, but then it's kind of like spiraled into other things. But that's what I do. So now I just kind of support everybody in an artistic way.
Hell yeah. Um, why don't you tell the viewers and the listeners what got you into sex work, so to speak?
Okay. So truth be told, I was 22 when my son was born.
Mm-hmm.
I had been with him for years, who, for the most part, took care of me. So I didn't really have to do much of anything. Like I worked a part-time job at Smoothie King. So whenever I had my son, there was a day where something happened and it just kind of triggered this thought in my head that my son is not going to think that it's okay to talk to women like this. And so I broke up with my boyfriend and I had no skills. I was young. I didn't go to school or anything. So I started dancing. My son was 3 months old and I started dancing and it helped take care of him. And then I'm a terrible stripper. And to this day, because the dancing part is great, but that shit requires heart that not everybody has. And I can't, I'm not good at like talking to people like that. Like, I'm
Right.
not, my face will tell you if I'm full of shit. So, like, I'm not interested, like, it's really bad. And so it just like, I would sit there and watch all these beautiful girls who were able to do this. How?
Right.
um, but there were still parts of it that were really empowering for me, so I didn't want to completely give it up.
Right.
So whenever I stopped dancing, I transitioned to just doing content and modeling and things like that because it was more within my comfort zone, which sex work is very, very individualized. So everybody's comfort zone is different, you know what I mean? But I'm just really, really weird about like physical contact. Like
Understandable.
I don't even like people having the option to touch me very much.
Right.
I rarely go outside. Um, and it's interesting because a lot of strippers have, I think that one of the biggest struggles for me personally in having been a sex worker is nobody fucking takes you seriously about anything. Like, I've met women who are vets who are also dancers. One of my favorite dancers is like I think she teaches cheerleading. She's just fucking amazing. And most of these women are wonderful with children, great with families, like they're people.
Right.
But as soon as they are known as a dancer, everything else goes out the window. So even though I stopped dancing because it wasn't for me, I wanted my business to show the artistic side of what they're doing and show how much work they really put in.
Right.
Because I didn't like that they weren't taken seriously. Like, first of all, the shoes are like, let's just talk about how you can't walk in the shoes, okay? Like, that is an art form. And then dancing in itself, if you were to dance in any other situation, you can take, hip hop classes, you can take ballet. All of these forms of dance are considered art.
Right.
Even pole dancing in a gym is considered art. And I'm super weird. Like, I find beauty in the most tragic things.
Right.
So for me, there's almost more artistic beauty in the dancers that I've met in some of the smallest, teeniest, tiniest strip clubs in Jacksonville because there was life, there was a story there. They were doing it for a reason. Most of these women were feeding their children. Most of them got off work at 2:30 in the morning and were back up at 7 a.m. taking their kids to school and stuff.
Right.
Like, real life people. And they were only seen as one thing. And it was always seen as something negative. Like, I said that I started because I have a kid. I need to take care of my kid. There were points where my son's father was so bothered by what I was doing. He would make comments like, I can't believe you go home and I'm in the club and you kiss our son. Like, that's disgusting. And just stuff like that. And it took years before he and I were able to have a conversation where I told him, I was like, you know, we are showing our son two different options. You're showing him that it's okay to live your life based on what you have.
Right.
You have this job and you live according to your means. And I am showing my son that by any means necessary.
Hey. And that's where it's at.
There's not anything wrong with either one of those situations, you
Right.
know? Like, when he's grown and he decides whether he wants a white picket fence or whether he wants, you know, whatever he wants with his life, he's going to know that those things are okay. And he may not like what I do. I own the fact that my child may not respect what I have done. But my child will respect that there was nothing on the planet, including myself, that I was not willing to sacrifice for him.
If I could interject, I think, and this is just me, I don't have a glass ball. I can't look into the future. I can't tell you how everything's going to pan out. But I believe your child will respect you for sure. Regardless of what you do or have done for work, your child will respect you. And your child will know that, okay, just like you said, my mom went out of her way to make sure there was food on the table, to provide for me, to at least make sure I was taken care of. And
Yeah.
there was nothing that my mom wouldn't do. Like, some moms and some people say that, like, parents say that, they're like, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my child. And then when faced with that situation,
They find their limit.
they find their limit. Then there are parents that, hey, this is what it is. I have a child. I need to make shit happen. And they make shit happen. So with that being said, you know, I commend you for that. Like, and as I've said in previous episodes, I support the naked hustle. I love the strip club experience. I love just
Yeah, even as a woman, to be honest with you, I enjoy going out and like, it's fun. If you find a nice enough club, like, take out people, drink, girls, you're entertained. You don't even have to worry about arguing with nobody because they'll leave you in 5 minutes. Like,
right.
all my friends, I have to babysit them. I have to, you know, all this other stuff. If I want to go out to a strip club, I know that there's security here to take care of these girls.
Yeah.
If I have to, somebody in a minute to do that, I don't have to sit there and babysit all night.
Right.
We're here to have a good time. Everybody's safe, and it is what it is.
Right.
I don't really even like regular clubs that much because I didn't go to clubs before I started.
Right.
So it's kind of strange to me. Like, what do you do?
With regular clubs, that was my scene many moons ago, like many years ago. I'm not even gonna say many moons ago, many years ago. That was my scene. But even in regular clubs, I feel like there's agendas. There's always agendas. You're there for something. Like, there's never you're going out for just to have fun. You're there for something. There's an agenda.
Yeah. And usually when you decide to go to a strip club, you're aware that your night ends at 2 a.m.
That part, like, customer, worker, it doesn't matter. Like, at 2 p.m., like 2 a.m., like, yeah, you're out, it's done. And you're not going in there with any false pretenses. You're not going in there with the fact that, oh, this girl has fallen in love with me. She's going to take me home.
Now, particularly talking about that, it actually does happen, like, a lot. For some reason, there are a lot of guys, like, I'm not going to say all of them and definitely not trying to back anybody, but that genuinely seem to believe that strippers love them. And it's kind of sad
Yeah.
but also annoying because like I feel like you should know that you're paying for an experience. We don't. One of the first things I was told when I started dancing was like, you're not actually selling sex, so stop being so self-conscious. You're selling the idea of it. You're selling the fantasy, the thought.
Right. One of my friends that's a stripper, she told it to me like this. She was like, "Honey, I'm not a stripper. I'm a fantasy facilitator." And I was just like, "Damn, that shit's real."
Yes. And it's interesting because even the word dancer or stripper, those are very specific terms.
Right.
Where adult entertainer, that's a little bit more that's a little bit more accurate.
Yeah.
Because stripper specifically, you're taking off your clothes. Dancer, you're specifically dancer. As an adult entertainer, there was a night. Oh my god, there have been so many weird things. Which is the okay. So I'm sitting in a club one night, right?
Right.
And I'm super kind of bored, and I did this thing where I didn't like being on the floor if there's nobody there.
Right.
That didn't feel right. So I would go hang out in the office. So I'm sitting there, and me and my manager are just kind of bullshitting about, some things that have happened in the club, just the weirdest shit we've ever seen. And he tells me that one night, there's a girl, one of his dancers, she takes a guy back to VIP, and she keeps leaving, just leaving him back there. So he went and said something to her, and she's like, no, please just trust me. He was like, okay. Apparently, the customer that was back there with her, he liked the dancers to take him and put him on the bench and put his feet up like this and his hands up. Not restrain them or anything, just pretend that they were doing it. And then pretend that they were putting him in an oven like a turkey. And they would leave and come back every few minutes and pretend to check on the turkey, open the oven, oh, it's not done yet, and leave. And then after a while, they'd come back and open the oven and be like, ding, you're done. And he'd get up and be like, oh my god, that was amazing. I'm not joking.
I'm sorry, man. Oh my god. What the whole fuck? Hey, I bet anything though. I bet you she cashed out. I bet you they cashed out.
So I heard this story from my manager first.
Right.
Well, then years later, I've lived lots of lifestyles. I'm in a poly relationship. I go visit my boyfriend, and his girlfriend is also living there. And me and her having coffee one morning, as we do, and she and I are talking about some of our experiences. We worked in the same clubs and everything, and it was her. It was her.
Small world.
Yeah. For Jacksonville to be as big as it is.
Very big. It's the biggest city in the states as far as landmass.
Yeah, but as far as people, we're big, but we still know too much.
100%.
And then for me, I never actually got this guy, which was cool because I don't think I would have been able to handle that situation.
Right.
It's there's no way in hell I would have been I'm sorry if you don't.
I don't know. If he pulled out a couple of bands, he might have been like, I got you.
Okay, if he would have pulled out a couple of bands at first, I would have been like, look, I ain't never done this before, so I'm gonna need you to work with me. Just don't pay no attention. If I'm laughing, just pretend I'm laughing at, somebody made a joke about Thanksgiving. I don't fucking know.
I would have faked it till I made it for some bands. I ain't gonna lie. I would have been like, shit, you want me to base you? I'm gonna base you in everything.
My face, that's why, I'm a terrible stripper. My face did never allow for that. So, I think there were a few times where, this guy would come in, and I just did not like him.
Right.
And so he would do this thing where he'd come up and he's talking to her or whatever, and he'd brush his hand down your shoulder. Don't fucking touch me, bro. And he'd be like, oh, I just really like you. Don't fucking touch me, bro.
Number one rules of the strip club: don't touch the talent.
Yeah, well, the rule's not always fucking followed.
Well,
and it's
yeah.
Nowadays it seems like the rule is up to the discretion of the talent. And so called another girl over. And he's like, well, how do I tip you, if I can't touch you? I said, you either put the money on the bar or you put it in your name. So, like, I had this other girl stand there with me all night, and he would hand her money, and she'd hand it to me, and I'd count it out and hand half of it back to her and keep the rest. And just keep telling him not to fucking touch me all night.
Hell yeah.
Like, I think that night we both walked out with 500 from him. Like, so even though, like, I wasn't great at being super nice to people, there were people that liked that I wasn't nice to them.
Everybody got a, like, not to be grotesque in them, but everybody got a kink. Like, it is what it is. Some people like women to be mean to them. Like, you got these guys that pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get their testicles stepped on and stuff, like dominatrix and stuff. And
Yeah, and
I don't get it, but hey, whatever they're
having worked in the strip clubs a lot for me, from going to that to modeling, and then I started making candles. I just wanted to do some sort of craft one day.
right.
And so then I started vending the candles, and a lot of the places that I was vending was like goth clubs and different things like that. So at some point, somebody's like, these are all fetish events. These are all like BDSM events that you're doing. You should make wax play candles. So I did it. And now 4 years later, somehow I'm a professional wax top who actually, like, I don't like doing full-on scenes with people, so it's not like I get paid like hundreds of dollars an hour to do it. Like, I would
Right.
definitely do that. But like right now, I just go to parties and usually we'll do a small, like, 5-10 minute scene with somebody for tips and sell my candles.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd rather teach you how to do it and let you and your partner go do it yourself, if that makes sense.
Right.
And sell my candles than be doing scene after scene with a bunch of people, because I personally feel like BDSM is super intimate.
100%. There's a level of trust that has to be there.
Yeah. So it's not like I somehow became a professional wax top, but there's like a lot of emphasis on the professional.
Right.
And so my studio, at first I was taking, I don't actually have like a studio space, but what I do is I get people together, like usually a bunch of girls that do like OnlyFans or something.
Right.
And it's like around a holiday, they all want to do the same shit. So we all throw in and we all make it happen. And so that was kind of the basis of my business. We're all doing the same shit and everybody's contributing and helping each other out, and everybody eats. So no matter what direction it's taken, that's always been the basis of it. And like, I got married, and did that thing that is super cliche in sex work, where we get married and then stop,
Right.
because we had a problem with it. So that's what I did. And I didn't ever get completely out of it in a way that, like, I'm perfectly happy with not being a sex worker.
Right.
But I also didn't want people to think that fitting was not a bad thing. So I still want to be able to take pictures and be the photographer and everything else. It's just that my mental health and everything, like, wants to focus on art right now.
Right.
So, like, right now my place in the sex work world is presenting what these women do as an art form.
For sure.
And helping them show it off in like a professional way. Because I've always felt like if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability.
100%.
Like, so if I don't give a fuck, if you come to me and you're like, I'm a prostitute, but I want to do this the right way. Okay. We need to first start out with getting you all your like Google spreadsheets and shit so you can keep track of your money and all that stuff. Like, let's do this.
Right.
I don't know what you do. If you want to do it professionally and you want to learn from it, do it. Because in the 5 years that I was a sex worker, I learned how to make my own money. I learned how to pay my own bills. I learned how to work with others. There are lots of different skills that actually go on my resume now that nobody knows came from sex work.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Um, People skills, communication skills. These are all things that women learn that they don't realize that they're learning because the outside world is bashing them because they're. So I felt since I can see all these things, then I get to play middleman and help everybody else see them too, including the sex workers themselves. Because I think the saddest part of it is when they believe the things that people say to them.
Speaking of which, what are some common misconceptions and such that sex work and sex workers get? What's like the common stigma that clouds over you guys?
For one, everybody's a prostitute, and it's always like the dirtiest, most disgusting fucking act possible. Um, which is not always the case. Like, most people that have never stepped into a strip club don't realize that most of our VIPs have cameras. Like, we are monitored and watched at all times for safety, for
Right.
cleanliness, for all of these things. So that's one of the biggest things. Another of it is that we're dumb, that we're not capable of doing anything else. So that's why we do this.
Right.
And like, I did not think that I was capable of anything else when I started. But there was a point where I worked a 9 to 5. I was a dancer. I was a bartender in a club, and I did shooters. So my schedule was every day I was at work at 9, got off at 5, went home to my son, was back in a club by 7, 8, possibly 9 on the nights that I was dancing and didn't have anything else to do.
Right.
If I was bartending, I would bartend. If I was not scheduled to bartend, I'd pick whichever other job was available that night.
Hell yeah.
But I had 4 jobs, 7 days a week. And I was capable of working my 9 to 5, but I was also a single mom. Like, that doesn't go very far with a child.
No.
And I wasn't willing to get to them. You mentioned that one of your other episodes was on mental health. I have tons of anxiety, all types of issues and shit. So being a sex worker was somewhat easy for me because I don't fucking sleep. Like, it's really hard for me to sleep for more than a couple hours at a time. So I usually sleep for a couple hours spaced out. And like, there are a lot of reasons why women get into it that have nothing to do with their inability to do anything else.
Right.
To be honest with you, there are some women, and I completely understand it, because there was a point where I was like, damn, you know what, this might be a little toxic. That is one of those. Men enjoy going out and spending money on a woman, and it's not like they have to be manipulated into it in the strip club. It's a consenting act. And there are some women that just enjoy being spoiled. So there they go. But they don't have to entertain a man 24/7 for it. They don't have to be attached to him. Some of them can be gay. And still, like, their extortion is a fetish. I'm just gonna say that.
It is.
Like,
I said it earlier, man. Everybody got their kink. Everybody has their kink.
yeah. And the sex work industry is probably the one place where you can't judge anybody's shit. Because worst case scenario, they're just going to offer to pay you to participate, and you can respectfully say no, and they'll move on.
There you go.
Like, it's an interesting world.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the people would like to know. So, can you tell them any regrets whatsoever? Like, what's any regrets you have, if none at all?
I think, yeah, okay, so I did lack certain boundaries. When I was a dancer, I, like, had a relationship with one of my managers. Stupid. That's dumb. Don't do that.
You heard that. People out there, ladies, if you are in the business or in the industry, your
Just
manager, just don't do it.
don't put somebody in your club. Like, not your security, not your DJs, not your managers, like, none of that. Like, keep it professional. Um, because it is just, they're tiny and everybody talks, and that is a good way to cause problems for you. If you're fucking with a man who is standing there watching you work, the man whose lap you're sitting in, he's feeling this weird ass vibe coming from across the room, and he's like, "What the fuck?" You know?
Right.
Like, so just don't mix your relationships and your money. And then also, I didn't have enough fun. I did not have enough fun. And that was why I did not make any fucking money. Like, I did. But I could have made a lot more, is my point. Like,
Right.
it was obvious to a lot of people sometimes that I didn't want to be there. Like, a lot of my customers, once I got put behind the bar, started making comments. They were like, "Oh my god, you have a personality. Like, you're actually cool." Shit like that. So, like, if you have made a choice to participate in sex work, don't make that choice if it's going to be something that you're going to be ashamed of. If you have to hide it from anybody, if you have to lie about it, if it's something that you feel some type of way about, do not do it, because it will never be worth it, because you're always going to show that you don't want to be there, and people are going to start picking up on that, and you're not going to make as much money because it's clear that you're not having fun, so they're not going to have fun with you.
Right.
So, like, decide sex work if it's something that you can stand on, if it's something that you feel is empowering for you as a woman, if it's something that you will enjoy doing.
Right.
Well, I've told a lot of people, because I've had a lot of girls come to me and be like, "Oh, help me set up my fans," or because I need to make some money real quick. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not the way it works.
Right.
And to an extent, I just need to make some money. When it's said by the same women who have gone out of their way to degrade sex workers all over social media, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, maybe I should try it because I need to make some fast money."
Right.
That is incredibly diminishing to the hard work that sex workers really do put in. Like, I did actually was like, "You know what? I'm gonna let you come do a photo shoot with me since you need to make some money." Mostly because I was just kind of in a sadistic mood, and I'm like, my rib cage hurts after some shoots. Like, you hold your breath, like, you have to hold poses, like, your muscles kind of cramp up sometimes. Like, it's not fun and games, and it's not easy.
Right.
So she's like, "I can't do that." Like, I'm trying to hold poses, and she's like, "I can't." And I'm like, "I know." It's hard work, and hard-earned money, just like any other fucking job.
Right.
And you're not going to make any fucking money if you don't put time, effort, and energy into it, the same as any other job. So I think that's probably the advice, is, like, don't get into it if it's not something you can stand on, and if you are in it, do it to the best of your ability. Own it. Be happy with it. Have fun with it. Like, be creative with it. Like, I know women who are whole burlesque dancers and strippers, and they have a whole different, like, persona, and it's like a character. It's incredible. It's fun.
Right.
Literally, if you're going to do it to the best of your ability. Don't be sitting in a strip club.
Facts.
Or on camera either.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna do cam work or modeling or something like that, be creative with it. That way you can keep your customers engaged, and you can keep yourself.
I think that especially being on camera, I think that, like, you'd want to create a different persona and have fun with it and stuff, because for one, like, there is a no contact thing. There's no physical contact whatsoever, so you're gonna really need to facilitate your customer's fantasy or whatever.
Yeah. And then on top of that, like sometimes there are moments like for cam girls specifically, not necessarily if you're just recording yourself, but like for cam girls when you are alive,
Right.
there's nobody on there. Like you really have to work to entertain your damn self. Because I tried it
Right.
and I so after about 5 minutes, I'm over this and I'm trying to find something else to do.
Right.
And I'm not even in the like my mind's not even in the bedroom anymore. So this is ridiculous. Like unless somebody has a fetish for sitting there watching me crochet blankets, the cam work specifically, like I couldn't do. You have to be like super creative with it. And when I tried it, like I didn't understand that. So it just didn't work for me.
Right.
But the creativity is the most fun of being able to do sex work. You work for yourself. You set your own schedule. You do whatever the fuck you want. And like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Is somebody's gonna say they don't like it? Well, nobody likes what the fuck you do anyway.
There you go. And there it is.
Yeah.
What do you have going in the works right now, or do you have any future projects down the pipe, or what's going on right now with you?
Right now, mostly staying in my shop vending. I have been doing like I helped put together a Alice in Wonderland dungeon
Ooh.
this past week. It was amazing. I did a wax play scene, and then we had another instructor do a electrical play scene. Because it was Alice in Wonderland, we also did a lot of research and learned how to do impact play with red roses. They froze them, so whenever they hit like somebody, if you spank somebody with them, they shatter like glass. It's
Oh,
super
that's
pretty.
badass.
Yeah, it was super super pretty. And then we had a burlesque dancer come. She was dressed like a kitty and had balloons all over her and pulled like a pin out of her bow tie and was popping the balloons as she danced and glitter was flying everywhere. So it was super great.
Hell yeah.
And then so the next one's going to be Beetlejuice for Halloween.
Oh, cool.
So there's that. We're going to be doing that. And then I host, it's every other Sunday-ish, a creative collaboration event where I pretty much bring a bunch of art supplies and set up a few vendors at Eclipse in Riverside. And we create and hang out. The last time I had a crystal vendor, an edible vendor, a toy shop, Tiki's Toys over on Atlantic, sent a bunch of inventory in for that. Also, a lady who makes edibles, amazing.
Yeah.
And myself and some of the artists that I work with, because my table is always full of like, I get lashes from a girl in Ocala and body scrubs from a girl in Tennessee and keychains from a girl in Philadelphia, and they all send them to me. And it's not always large amounts of inventory, but
Right.
my table stays full of a bunch of people. So there's that, and then I have like pre-printed canvases for paint and sips and stuff like that. So usually at the creative collaboration events, people can get the canvases and sit and paint with us and stuff like that. So I'm doing those every few weeks, and I'm trying to start getting my portfolio back up for photography. Like I really want to book some boudoir shoots and maybe go into some of the clubs and take some pictures with them like that. Literally just trying to get my portfolio up right now so that I can actually start booking sessions. But that'll be a while. Like I said, terrible ADD. So a lot of times it's just whatever I'm able to focus on at the moment.
For sure. Do you have any social media links that you would like for the people to follow?
Yeah, they can follow my Facebook and my Snapchat. Those are probably the best places to ever actually see anything. I'm still in the process of updating like my business social medias,
For sure.
but for now, just my Facebook and Snapchat are the easiest way to do anything. And both of those are just, well, my Facebook, Shayna DeFulvio, and then my Snapchat is Little.
And those links will be down in the description, people. That's all I have for you for today. Thank you for
All right.
coming on.
No problem. It was nice meeting you. Definitely happy to do it again sometime.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.